Today's video is sponsored by Manscaped. You ever notice how sometimes it takes a fictional character to say the realest stuff? I recently rewatched Marvel's Captain America Civil War, and when Vision said,
"Our very strength invites challenge,"
I didn't think about Thanos. I thought about Eric Berry. I thought about the story of Job and a lot of other stuff that you probably shouldn't be thinking about while watching a superhero movie, but I could not shake the thought that throughout Eric Berry's career, his immense strength seemed to invite unrelenting conflict, if for no other reason than the fact that he was strong enough to handle it. Alright, my bad, bro. Yeah, that's a little bit depressing. Let's start over. Oprah once said, "You have to find what sparks a light in you so that you, in your own way, can illuminate the world." And for many wide-eyed kids who dream of one day playing in the NFL, that first spark goes something like this. It takes the average football fan less than a second to recognize this iconic music arrangement from the NFL's Monday Night Football. At least I hope so, since that's about as long as I could play it without having this entire video taken down. Last year, there was a viral challenge where women played the Monday Night Football theme song aloud and watched their boyfriends and husbands come running from the other side of the house, almost as if they were being physically pulled by the music. It's actually pretty damn funny. While you don't see any kids in these clips, had this taken place 20 years ago, former Pro Bowl safety Eric Berry would have met the same fate as these unsuspecting gentlemen. When Eric heard the Monday Night Football theme song as a kid, dude would sprint back and forth throughout the tight hallways of his childhood home, energized by the music. He was destined to play under the lights one day, but once he finally made it, adversity would come at him from all directions. This is the story of Eric Berry, a man who made it to the pinnacle of the sport only to have one of the unluckiest run of injuries, and even worse, an unpreventable, life-threatening disease. That diagnosis could have meant the end of Eric's life, and it probably should have meant the end of his promising young career. But like he'd done so many times before, he hit the illness head first, and in the end, Eric came out on top. This is a story of true strength displayed by a man who has it in spades. This is the inspirational story of Eric Berry. Cue the Wayne. Alright, before we jump in, it's time to give a quick shout out to today's video sponsor, Manscaped. So you're already familiar with the Lawnmower 3.0, little beastly product we've been talking about forever. But Manscaped has recently launched their 4th generation trimmer, the Lawnmower 4.0. The design is dope, and this thing just works the way it's supposed to. The ceramic blades with skin-safe technology helps reduce nicks and cuts, and also they're easily replaceable as well. It's also both cordless and waterproof, making it perfect for use in the shower. On top of that, it's got a 90-minute battery life when running off a full charge. And when you do need some more juice, it's really simple to use the new wireless charging station. The long battery life is also good for when you travel, and to further perfect being the ideal travel trimmer, it's also got a new travel lock feature. Check out the new two-tone black finish, man. The new design is dope. The LED light is back, you know what I'm saying? One of the fan favorite features from the first one. And you got the little Manscaped logo on here and everything, so you can't go wrong with that. So join over 2 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped and get 20% off plus free international shipping at manscaped.com. Shout out to Manscaped once again for sponsoring the video. Without further ado, let's get it. There was a moment in time when Eric Berry seemed to be destined to become the next Sean Taylor, a fierce, hard-hitting safety with range and ball skills like no other. He had this ability to be both insanely powerful yet elegant and graceful. So there's a breed of horse from the Netherlands called the Frisian horse. It's one of the most graceful animals on the planet, yet it's still commonly used as a racehorse, as their grace is achieved through incredible strength, which also lends itself to speed. While athletically it shares traits with top athletes like Eric, if he actually saw this thing up close, dude would run a 4.47 in the opposite direction since he's terrified of horses. As a kid, he was actually diagnosed with equinophobia, which is a psychological fear of horses. Good thing he plays football and wouldn't have to be around, wait a minute.
Oh, hell no, there go that horse. I don't with that horse. Huh? That horse. I'll wait till the horse pass. I don't mess with horses, bro.
When Eric was just a child, his mom took him to the petting zoo. And this man literally got bit by a pony, bro. Like, straight up. He tried to walk away, but the pony kept following him, and eventually the walk got faster and faster and faster until he was in a full sprint. Maybe that's how he cultivated his speed, I guess. In high school, that pony speed paid off, but not in a way most of us remember it. Instead of getting interceptions, Eric Berry was playing quarterback, and believe it or not, dude was one of the best in the state of Georgia. He actually faced off with another Atlanta dual threat quarterback, Cam Newton. The two future NFL stars had been rivals since middle school when they faced off in basketball originally. Cam admitted that while Eric couldn't, quote, spin it as well as he could, he was still the best athlete in the state, and that's coming from an NFL MVP. Cam also said this when asked if Eric was a better quarterback than he was back in high school. I don't want to say that. They ran a wing T, and surprisingly, in high school, he was the #1 cornerback, but he never played cornerback. Now, Cam is clearly joking here, but there is an element of truth to this. Out of all of these high school highlights I was able to find, there's only one of Eric Berry actually playing DB. But ironically, that clip is against my boy Cam, and here's how it played out. Eric actually nearly accepted a scholarship offer to Auburn, which means, it actually doesn't mean anything because he left college following the 09 season, and Cam didn't get to Auburn until 2010. So now that my what if scenario is completely dead, here's what actually happened. Eric's dad, James, played running back for the Vols back in 1978. And I know some of y'all with the eagle eyes spotted that in the photo I showed earlier. He actually rushed for a little over 1,700 yards during his career there. So, following in his dad's footsteps, Eric Berry went to Tennessee, started from day one and got better every single year. I'm serious, we can measure this. As a freshman, he won SEC Defensive Freshman of the Year. As only a sophomore, dude was named the team captain and then won SEC Defensive Player of the Year. As a junior, he won the Jim Thorpe, which goes to college football's overall top defensive back, no longer relegated to just the SEC. And in 3 years, he averaged 82 tackles, 4.5 interceptions, 1 defensive touchdown, and 6 tackles for loss per season. These are his 3-year totals and yearly breakdowns right here on screen. Now, personally, I think it's a dope look when players' jersey numbers actually have meaning. And both Eric's college and NFL numbers were tributes to people that he loved and respected. In college, he wore number 14 as a tribute to his mom, as she was in labor with him for 14 straight hours. And don't worry, we'll get to the NFL number in just a second. He also had a remix that probably didn't age that well, dedicated to him back in the day, and his 2 younger brothers, who are twins, well, they kept the family tradition alive as well. At the NFL Combine, he measured in at 6 feet, 211 pounds. Dude recorded a 4.47, a 43-inch vertical, and damn near an 11-foot broad jump. This is explosiveness personified. In 2010, the Kansas City Chiefs selected him in the first round, 5th overall, making him the highest drafted DB since, you guessed it, the late great Sean Taylor. Eric selected jersey number 29 in honor of Tennessee legend and one of the best motivational speakers out there, Inky Johnson, whose career was cut short due to an extremely rare injury during a game at Tennessee. I've actually done one of these videos on Inky as well. I'll link it at the end if y'all want to check it out. Now, 2010 was a different time, as the rookie pay scale we have today was not yet in effect. Actually, the first year our modern rookie pay scale took effect was the following year when Eric's childhood friend came into the league. Damn, Cam, you just missed it, dog. Eric Berry became the highest paid safety in the entire history of the NFL. Literally, the same day he was drafted. 6 years, 60 mil with 34 million guaranteed. And he showed he was worth it by literally making the Pro Bowl as a rookie. Okay, look, he was an alternate for Troy Polamalu, but still, he was the first alternate as a rookie. Playing safety? That's a vet position, bro. The Chiefs hadn't had any rookie to make the Pro Bowl since Hall of Fame linebacker Derek Thomas did it way back in 1989. And Eric Berry was so cold that his addition helped take the Chiefs defense from damn near the bottom of the league in 09 to a top 15 defense in just his rookie season alone. Couple more crazy facts from that season. He was the only Chiefs defender to play every single snap of the 2010 season. Remember how he was named team captain as a sophomore in college? Well, it was even faster in the NFL, as he was voted team captain in week 16 of his rookie season. It happened on the same day they were scheduled to play the Titans, and in that game, dude caught his 4th interception of the season and promptly took it to the crib. But the following year is when the trouble began. Dude tore his ACL in the season opener, and this would not be the last time this happened, but he missed the entire season. He came back in 2012 and made the Pro Bowl again. Then the following season, he added not only another Pro Bowl, but also first team All-Pro honors. In those 2 seasons, this man played 31 of 32 games. He was the model of health and the model of consistency. It looked like that ACL injury was behind him and he had years of health lying ahead. Eric had passed that ACL test with flying colors, but the midterm would prove to be in a class of his very own. Week 1 of the 2014 season was like any other year. Eric Berry played all 82 defensive snaps and recorded 14 tackles in a tough loss. But the very next week, he'd suffer a sprained ankle. And at first, this is how Eric Berry always was. He'd play every single snap, then he'd get injured and miss considerable time. It was most likely because while he was playing all 82 snaps, anytime he suffered an injury that he could play through, he probably just did that, and then it would seem like he was never hurt, then boom, out for the whole season. Like, it was kind of crazy. During the 2014 season, he dealt with the high ankle sprain. That kept him out for quite a few games, but when he came back from the injury, he still seemed a step slow. Now, people assumed he was dealing with the lingering effects of that injury. In week 12 of the 2014 season, Eric Berry did what he does, playing every single snap of the Chiefs game versus the Raiders, but he did that despite the fact that he was feeling discomfort in his chest. The next day in a light practice, that same pain persisted, so Eric decided to undergo a series of exams. X-rays were negative, but both the MRI and the CT scan showed something nobody expected to find: a potentially cancerous mass in his chest. After finding out that information, Eric stood in the locker room and addressed his team. When he told them what the MRIs had found, their collective jaws dropped as they couldn't believe what they were hearing. Here's Eric's statement to the public. At first, I was in shock with the diagnosis on Saturday and didn't even want to miss a game, but I understand it right now. I gotta concentrate on a new opponent. I have great confidence in the doctors and the plan they're gonna put in place for me to win this fight. I believe that I am in God's hands and I have great peace in that. I know my coaches and teammates will hold things down here for the rest of the season until I'm back running out of that tunnel with Arrowhead. I'm so thankful and appreciative of being a part of this franchise and playing in front of the best fans in the NFL. I will be back. Now, many people assume that these were the words of a man attempting to put on a strong appearance for the public, but nah. Dude meant every word of this. So weeks go by and Eric was officially diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma, a type of lymphoma in which cancer originates from a specific type of white blood cell called lymphocytes. Now, the silver lining in his diagnosis was this: this specific type of lymphoma is considered highly treatable and potentially curable, but we all know there are no guarantees. This man went from being a symbol of power in the NFL to powerless damn near overnight, as his fate no longer lied in his own hands. During that very difficult time, Eric admitted to crying more than he ever had in his life. He initially felt guilty about it because he felt he had to show strength even in his crazy situation, but his parents were clutch throughout, dropping him jewels like this.
That to me was really a defining moment, because we actually sat there and he was able to say, well, you know what, it is okay. My dad's crying, I'm crying. He's just letting it all out, and realizing that, hey, you don't have to be strong for everybody. Let somebody be strong for you.
His teammates offered just that with their tributes to one of their fallen team captains. And while watching a football game when emotions are high, this the type of stuff that'll bring the hardest dude in the room to tears, bro. Football players deal with a ton of adversity to get to and stay where they are. But Eric Berry was an all-pro safety who was diagnosed with cancer in the middle of his prime. That doesn't really happen. But even crazier is what happened next. It took Eric Berry 9 months to shake back from his torn ACL. But this dude shook back from lymphoma in only 7. 7 months after his diagnosis, Eric Berry was declared cancer-free, but beating the deadly disease wasn't enough. Eric was about to make this score ugly. Not only did he beat cancer, he was gonna play ball again. He was gonna do what he loved to do since he first discovered his spark way back in the day. While other players was doing off-season workouts to sharpen their skills, Eric Berry was undergoing chemotherapy treatments. Dude's will was hella strong cause he still managed to work out every day. But at that time, going to failure for him meant doing less than 5 push-ups most days. It was obviously a dramatic drop-off for the Pro Bowl safety, but at the time, that's all he could gut out. Now, I already talked about how his parents was clutch during this whole process. And by that, I don't only mean emotional support. See, Eric's dad is actually like a dog in the kitchen. And he actually cooked for Eric throughout this process. Every day, 3 meals a day, putting like real love in the food, you know what I'm saying? And it's crazy because after Eric's treatments were over, instead of losing weight, dude actually gained a pound. That is not normal. Shout out to Pops for that. Less than 1 year after his diagnosis, Eric was back in his sanctuary. Bro, just taking the field should have earned him Comeback Player of the Year, but he did a hell of a lot more than just take the damn field. And like my boy Trip would say, he ain't just come back, he came the back. This man made the Pro Bowl, was a first-team All-Pro, and won Comeback Player of the Year. The next year, 2016, he did it again. So, in case you're not keeping score, that's 1 first-team All-Pro before being diagnosed with cancer, and 2 first-team All-Pros afterwards. Man, I love my job. Like, this dude is a GOAT, bro. It's an honor to be able to cover this. In 2017, he did the unthinkable, considering what he had been through. It can be tough to get a second contract in the NFL if you've had considerable injuries, but if you've been through what Eric has been through, it's damn near impossible. But near impossibilities have never stood in this man's way, and that wasn't gonna start here. In 2017, he signed a 6-year, $78 million contract with $40 million guaranteed. That's right, he came back from cancer and signed an $80 million contract. Considering the fact that he was able to get paid as a rookie and able to get paid one more time is pretty dope. But the celebration of his new deal wouldn't last very long. Eric Berry would only ever play 4 more games in the NFL. So here we are, 2017, season opener. The most dangerous game of the season, especially for Eric Berry. The thing is, the Chiefs were up, it was their 4th quarter, then one wrong step and he tore his Achilles, and effectively, that was the end of his career. 2 of the most common major injuries in sports are the ACL and the Achilles, and Eric Berry tore both of them. Throw in his battle with lymphoma and you have a guy who had his strength tested over and over and over again. Till this day, he continues to give hope to people who previously thought their situations were hopeless. His incredible strength isn't measured by his 19 reps on bench or even his pad penetrating hits. It's measured by the things he's been through, the potential he was robbed of, as he could have easily become one of the greatest safeties of all time if not for some unfortunate events. And sadly, that fact is just one more thing he has in common with the late great Sean Taylor. In hindsight, Eric Berry seems like one of the unluckiest players of all time, really, but as always, it's just a matter of perspective. For starters, the obvious, he's still living today. He faced a deadly disease and came out the other side, still walking upright and able to run and jump and hit at that. Eric's life was forever changed by what he went through in 2014, so 3 years later when he tore his Achilles, an injury that's been known to end careers for players around Eric's age, dude was all smiles in the locker room afterwards. He limped over to the middle of the room, called everybody in and told them to keep going. 2 years later, when he was no longer on the roster, his beloved Chiefs won the Super Bowl. Eric didn't get the opportunity to cross over into the promised land with his teammates, but at the age of 33, maybe a return to the sport isn't out of the question. Being a symbol of strength is tough, because when everybody's looking to you for inspiration, who do you look at? Listen, man, I don't know if strength solely exists to be tested, but I guess I'd rather build strength and just keep passing the test than to not build strength and then fail life's first little simple pop quiz. Yo, if you made it to the end of the video, you a GOAT, man. It's much appreciated. Thanks for rocking with your boy over all these years. And if you're brand new, don't forget to like, subscribe, enable your notifications, all that cool YouTube stuff. But other than that, I'm gonna catch y'all boys in the next one. Peace.